What is up, my listeners? Welcome back to another episode of the Keystone Chronicles podcast. With us this week, Mr. Dan Collins of Hardway Outdoors. Dan doesn't live too far from me, man, and been after him for a little while to come through on the show, and we got him this week. So this episode is not really tech talk. It's a couple stories and Dan's journey to be where he is right now. And he's got one hell of a journey, man. Pennsylvania born and raised, in Alaska, Idaho. Just a great story. He's a younger dude, and I was happy to have him come through and be on the show. Loves to fish, loves to hunt, recurve, flintlock, elk, whitetail, muleys. It doesn't matter, man. This guy's, he's been around. He's a young dude. He's got a lot of life left, just like myself. So his story is really fun. I also want to promote that he is a guide, and he will take you on guided fishing trips. So if that's something you're interested in, please get a hold of him. One of the ways you could do that is over at Hardway Outdoors on his Instagram handle. If you have any questions for me, don't be afraid to reach out, and I can send them his way also. So with that being said, enjoy this episode. God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Keystone Chronicles podcast. This week's guest I've been after for a while, and before I took a little hiatus, I was really following along closely, and I wanted to get him in the studio, but I got him on the phone here today, and this is going to be a great conversation. I'm super excited for it. Mr. Dan Collins of Hardway Outdoors. Dan, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Marcus?
Good, man. Good, man. I am very excited for this conversation. You're one of them guys I'm envious of. I see you traveling all around, and getting to do all the outdoor stuff, and I know that you're probably enjoying yourself, but let's do a little introduction, man. How about a little profile? It's who you are, where you're from originally, and let's just go down your journey just a little bit here.
All right. Yeah. I'm 25 years old, born and raised in central Pennsylvania. Just kind of lived a pretty normal life growing up. Small town in Clearfield County, and pretty outdoorsy growing up. I didn't. My dad would always take me turkey hunting, like when I was like 8 or 9, and that's when the bug really started. I just those early turkey hunts, just having like a gobbler working, it's just shakes your bones. It's like the first memories I have in the outdoors. And that really just got me hooked. And then going through, I would say, middle school, that's when I really took a grasp into fishing, probably like 4th or 5th grade. My one good friend, Thomas Summers, he started getting into like Team USA youth fly fishing and stuff. And I think we were in 4th or 5th grade, and like it would be like so me and him would like go tie flies after school together. We'd go to the fly shop, tie flies, we'd walk there and stuff. And I remember some days, like during recess, we would bring our vices and tie flies. Like there's probably no 5th grader in America that's ever done that,
Yeah.
And we'd sit there, and the teachers would be like, "You guys should go like be active or whatever." Yeah. And we tied flies.
Yeah, man. Well, everybody's different. That's all. Especially when it comes to growing up as kids and stuff. But yeah, I mean, nowadays, goodness gracious, you would definitely never see nothing like that.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and I remember like in middle school, we were right beside this river, and I'd always, whatever class we were in, I forget, but if the window faced the river, I was always looking out the window. Like we'd see a boat go up the river, and we'd be like, "Oh man, that's all!" Like I wish we were doing that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and then around that time, that's when I like as we said, really got into fly fishing a little bit, and had a lot of great mentors at the fly shop. We'd go down there and tie in the weekends in the winter, and then like in the summers, that's I played a lot of baseball. I've played so much baseball, but any free time I got, I I was fishing, and my mom would drop me off and on the river, or drop me off at a little brook trout stream, and it was just me, the bears, rattlesnakes, and brook trout. That's how it was, like every day of the summer.
Yeah.
If I wasn't playing baseball, and then getting into high school, there was some like outdoor clubs and stuff. We tie flies at or whatever. And then and then getting into like college. So like in high school, we would do like a college visit. That was like a requirement to graduate. And I was just like, oh, I'll go to Lock Haven or IUP and just do some cliche thing and get it over with. Like, I have no clue what I want to do. Then my buddy was like, hey, there's this college offering fisheries. You get to go and sit in on a class. You get to go electro fishing, and you get to go like fishing with the students. I'm like, yes, that sounds like a college visit.
Right.
Yeah, so we did that. I ended up going there and getting a fisheries degree there. And kind of like in that time frame, I think my sophomore, junior year, I got into competitive fly fishing. And that's really when I started taking it super seriously, fly fishing, and like progressing in myself. Because like I said, I played baseball. I was like super, like I have a competitive nature in me, I guess. And adding, I'm done with baseball. So I kind of how I got my competitive like fix, I guess, to say. And that really pushed me to become a better angler, just fishing with dudes on Team USA, learning from them. Super great anglers all over the East Coast I fish with, and you learn something from everybody. And that's where I've really got to be a more educated fly fisherman. And then in college, I would say that's when I got my big like hunting bug, I guess, like for whitetails. That's when I really found out that's my favorite thing to do is hunt whitetails in PA.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. There was a lot of times I probably might have should have been in class. But hey, like my freshman year, I shot a really, really nice buck. And I remember we weren't even like I got to college, and I'd go archery hunting a little bit, when I could, in my freshman year. And then like the third or fourth day of rifle season, I shot a really big buck. And I'm like, whoa, like there's like big bucks here. And like we were messing around, like we go squirrel hunting and dove hunting in like the rut.
Right.
And so like when I got that buck, I was like, oh wow, like I should like put more time into this and try to see what else is out there. And sophomore, junior, senior year of college, I was just in the mountains, like just every single day looking for bucks and sheds and scouting. And that really cool. Actually, a funny story to share. I think it's my sophomore year of college. I had an 8:30 chemistry class or an 8 o'clock chemistry class, and it was the first day of rifle season. And still had my buck tag. And I went to like the closest public land. I was like, I have to sneak a hunt in. Like I cannot miss the first morning. There's no way. And I had it all planned out. Like I'm gonna go like hunt this one spot. It has some potential, but it's close. I gotta get out of the woods at this time, and if I have to, I'm gonna go to class in my camo. Like I don't even care. I'm going the first day. And so I get in there before first light, and I'm all set up. And the sun rises, and it's like a nice frosty morning. This is probably 2017, I think it was. And I just, right as soon as the sun came up, I just hear in the frosty leaves. And I look up, and there's a doe, and then a really nice, he was a nice half rack buck. Still probably the oldest buck I've ever taken. Just but just it didn't have big antlers, but it was big horny on one side, and I shot him, and then immediately just like gutted him and drug him out of the woods like as quickly as possible. I went to the gas station, threw some ice in him, left him in my truck bed.
Uh,
I still had time to go get a shower, and I was early for class. Yeah, that was pretty cool to actually get a deer like that. Like I was sitting in class, and like there was kids that hunted in my class, and I was like, I don't know, like I just kind of mentioned like, did you guys hunt today or something? They're like, no, we slept in. I'm like, I already got a buck. They're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yeah, come out to my truck when class is done.
oh man.
Yeah, that was pretty funny actually.
Yeah, man, that's and that brings me to a point that how many other states do you think you'd grow up in where like you would even encounter somebody doing something like that?
Right,
I mean, there's certain states that come to mind to me, like West Virginia, maybe, maybe one of the Midwest states or something like that. But, that's where PA stands out. We got a little bit of everything. You were talking about your trout fishing and stuff, and a lot of these other states, they have great hunting, but they don't have both worlds like we do. And,
right,
you were able to grow up around that, especially out on the eastern side of the United States, which is only really comparable to out west.
right. Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate to hunt and fish in a lot of states, and PA I will say, is my favorite.
Yeah.
Just and it's really the amount of public land you have. Like no, you don't realize how good you have it until you go out of state.
Yeah. Yep.
Like besides like Idaho and Alaska,
Hmm.
PA is like we have a ton of public land for the East Coast and pretty much for the rest of the lower 48. It's very special that we have this much ground to go. Like I know when I go hunt Ohio, I'm like, what the heck? Like I can't even walk 2 miles here.
Right. Yeah.
And some places in New York, other than the Adirondacks, it's like, what the heck? And then you're just left with these little parcels, and but PA, it's like never ending, and we're very fortunate for that. And then just like you said, that we have great hunting, we have great fishing, just a great all around state to be in. It's my favorite state to fish for trout in for sure.
Yeah.
I've fished out west and I've fished Alaska, and I'd rather fish PA. Just how it is for me. We have more challenging fish, depending where you're at. It's our wild fish are definitely smart and they get pressured, and that's what makes you a better angler, in
Yeah.
my opinion. So rather than going out west and just throwing like a size 10 grasshopper out and just catching fish all day, it's more thought out, and you might have to change some things up. But so I think it's a great place to become a better angler.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I talk to a lot of guys, and I like really can't speak for my own experiences as far as fishing out of state for trout for the most part. But I know guys that have fished all 50 states, and they will tell you, top five for the United States, and that's impressive because when you compare the hunting that we have compared to some of the other states that they put into that category, it is really impressive. And then as far as public land goes, I've hunted a lot of other states too, and this is we will welcome anybody from out of state. I mean, I'm not saying maybe not some locals and stuff, but I'm saying the lands will gladly welcome people from out of state. And there's a
Right.
lot of people astonished by what they have, and we have all types of environment, whether it's flatland, whether it's swampy, marshy, if you want mountain bucks, we got them. We we got it all.
Yeah.
We got the brook trout, we got the big brown trout. I it's a great place to live, man, and I like talking it up all the time. If you don't like winter, move south.
Yeah.
But if you like winter and you're okay with it, then this is a great state to live in. It really is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah. And off what you kind of mentioned there about non-residents being welcomed,
mhm.
and you said maybe the locals wouldn't welcome you. Well, like I last fall when I was in Idaho, I'm in like some Facebook groups or whatever, and
Uh-huh.
there was one place, I forget where, but they had like every non-resident that was hunting, that had non-resident plates, all their tires got slashed. Which from obviously probably by a local,
Mm-hmm.
because all the resident cars were not messed with in that area.
Wow.
Super sad, super terrible.
Yeah.
Honestly, very dangerous as well because you don't know if there's an emergency or something.
Yeah. Make a good
Um,
point.
super sad to see something like that. And like I see non-residents in PA all the time. I don't care. Like
Right.
I think most people don't really care. Um, so it's you just deal with it. They're here to enjoy the land and hunt
Mm-hmm.
and fish and
Well, I think
have at it.
another thing that people aren't really aware of when it comes to non-resident hunting is, what kind of money and monetary value that brings to the area that they're hunting, number one.
Right.
And then, like we were saying, as good as the fishing is, we have lots of non-resident fishermen, and no one really seems to talk about that, which, hey, teaches their own, but there's a lot of them out there, and I see them out there too.
Oh
And,
yeah.
I will tell you that they're the first people to see you on the stream come up and say, "Hey, I don't really know where I'm at. I don't know what I'm doing. How are you? How's your day? Do you have any tips or tricks, or maybe you can throw me a bone here?" And guys like me, I have no problem telling them because the vast land, the vast waterways that we have, I'm like, hey, check this stream out. I ain't gonna tell them about my honey hole, but I'm not afraid to tell them about a stream that might be listed somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Or even hunting. Hey, well, there's some deer up in that area. I don't really know what's up there. I've been up there in a while, but I know that there's deer up there.
Yeah.
And that's really good. I don't want to get into conversation, but if only we had a little bit of that Sunday hunting thing, we would probably get a lot more non-resident hunters. But
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's for sure. I think that's what we definitely have way more non-residents
yeah,
for sure. I'd say
yeah,
that's the reason why I go out of state on like Sundays. Like,
you and everybody else, man, for sure.
yeah. So it's yeah, yeah. But it's like I think you mentioned like the monetary value of it. Like
Right,
when I go out west to hunt, like I'm spending at least $500 on just the license,
right.
and like I think what was it, 2 years ago, I drew a bull elk tag out there, and it was $650 for the tag. That's the equivalent of like 30 residents buying the same tag.
Yep.
So it's like, and you're gonna slash our tires.
Yeah.
Obviously that's one bad egg. It only takes one bad egg to do it, and there's way more good people out there. I've never had an issue with a single person out there personally,
Yeah.
but it's like one bad person ruins it, So
Yeah, man, that is unfortunate. I have seen some videos recently, and I would quote them, the people whose they were on, like the Facebook page and stuff, but I can't exactly remember. But it was like somebody had like a tire posted out front on like public land, and like he showed the Onyx map, and it was like in the middle of nowhere, and it was all
yeah,
public land, and here's this big tire, and it says posted no hunting, and I
yeah,
just had to
jeez.
laugh, like, oh geez, that's the stuff you run into, but. I want to jump back, man. I want to jump back into you and your journey because it's really something pretty cool. So you graduated college, right? Did you say you attended IUP?
No,
Okay,
no, yeah. I went to Mansfield University,
Mansfield. Okay, okay,
and yeah, right after I graduated, I had to do an extra semester because I came in like undecided or something.
mm-hmm.
So I had to do just like an extra semester. So I graduated in December of like 2019, I think, and then immediately just started shooting resumes out.
Hmm.
And in February, I was in Alaska. Just yeah, I went up there, worked at a salmon hatchery
That's cool.
on in Prince William Sound, and so that's like southeast of Anchorage. I lived on an island there for 3 months, raising some salmon, and then I transferred north to a same company but a different hatchery between Anchorage and Fairbanks, and was there for like 6 more months, and just phenomenal. Like on the island, it was like so like that's like I think it's like technically, or it is the most northern rainforest there. So a ton of snowfall when I was there from March to like April or May.
Wow.
Just so much. It was like 12 inches of snow a day, like just the the really wet, heavy snow, and we had to shovel it and everything. But
Dang.
we weren't doing that, doing our work, obviously, just like feeding the fish, cleaning the whatever, just hatchery stuff. But I fished every day. Like they had little like skiff boats, and they're like, "You're good to run them." Well, they pay for the gas and everything, so I took
Dang.
advantage of that. And you're like, we're right on the ocean, so it's me, my good friend Alfredo. Uh, we would go out and try to catch a halibut every day, but they weren't in yet because they like follow the salmon in when the salmon come in to spawn,
Hmm.
and just wasn't the right time of year. But we tried every day. But we caught like a ton of like lingcod and a bunch of rockfish and stuff. We caught some like big yellow eye rockfish. They're like the big orange ones, and we caught like a few small ones, and we brought them back. We ate those, and then we went out one day, and I caught this huge one. Like I don't know. It was like 15 pounds or so. Like it was really big for a yellow eye, and uh, we were done fishing. We were coming back to the hatchery, and there was this boat anchored up in the bay, and all the dudes were wearing camo. So I'm like, what the heck are they on a boat for wearing camo? Like, so I pulled over. I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we're bear hunting. We're just like waiting for a bear to come out on the beach or something. But we're shrimping and fishing there while we wait. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I was like, they're like, did you catch it? And I'm like, yeah, I caught this big yellow eye. And I pulled it out of the boat. And they're like, that fish is like 40 years old, right?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, geez. I kind of felt bad, but I'm like, it's over now. We're going to eat it.
Right, right.
I was like, that fish used to be Russian.
Dang, man.
But yeah, it was super good. It was really good eating fish. And then when I transferred north, that was like inland. So a lot of grayling and lake trout where I was. So that was really cool. And
Was that
then
like ice fishing or?
I got there right at when the lakes melt or thawing out,
I gotcha.
and so right at ice off, catching the lake trout on the fly from a kayak.
Damn.
Um, and then I started once the snow melted. I did a ton of shed hunting there too, caribou and moose. I found I think probably 10 moose sheds up there, and then like endless caribou sheds. Like I couldn't even take them all because there's just so many. I They're all pretty like beat up. Like there's nothing up there to like chew them and stuff.
Hmm.
If they're like in the swamp, they get all covered in moss and nasty. But like I found like all I wanted was a really good match set from a bull, and found that. So I brought that home, and then I had to go work remote. So we took a float plane into this like remote lake that we put some salmon fry in. We stock it by airplane, but uh, we were going in to trap the out migrating fish from the year before. And so like the outflow of the lake, we have like a trap system with nets, and they get this like live well. But yeah, we took a float plane in there, and on the flight, I'm looking down out of the plane. I'm just seeing moose sheds everywhere out of the airplane, and I'm just like pull my phone out super quick, and like there's no service, but I just like roughly put pins on like my map where these sheds were, and so I could come back when I was done and
Heck
hike
yeah.
in there. And so I did like 2 weeks there working remote. Got back to the hatchery, and I looked at my pins. I'm like, okay, they're like 4 miles off the road, and but I got to do it. Like there was just so many moose sheds in there, and big ones, like really big ones too. Like they look like Volkswagens sitting down there. I was like, I have to go get them. So like, what you don't see from the airplane is how thick it is, because it's way easier to see from a bird's eye view than when you're actually there. Like I couldn't see more than like 6 feet in front of me the whole time. But I did find some moose sheds. I found one that I think it was 19 pounds, and I brought that one home. But like that's not even like it was a legal moose. It was a nice moose. It was probably, I was guessing it was like a 35 or 40-inch moose,
Mm-hmm.
but it had 5 brow tines, so it would have been legal. They had to have 3 brow tines up there to shoot. Um, but yeah, it was cool to find. And then I was like trying to figure out how I wanted to bring him home. Like, should I mail him or just bring him on as a carry-on on the airplane when I fly back home? And mailing them would have been like super expensive, so I went with a carry-on. And I was like trying to figure out how am I going to take 2 caribou antlers and this moose paddle home on a carry-on, like not a carry-on, like just like under the plane. I forget what that's called.
Right.
Just like luggage or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I came up with just shrink wrapping it and like, clear shrink wrap.
Right.
And then I just duct taped it, and then I duct taped rope for handles. It looked so stupid. But I get to the airport. So this is like mid-September when I was leaving. So that's like peak hunting season there. And it's just like dudes with cardboard boxes that they have like a whole like moose head in, a whole caribou head in. They're flying home with their animal they got, and there's me like lugging around this saran wrapped ball of antlers and duct tape. And everybody's in Anchorage. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's so awesome! It's so cool." And TSA, the dude, I had to check it because I gotta look for bombs or whatever. And the dude in TSA was like, "This is the best way I've ever seen this done." I'm like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, I could see right in there. I can check it for wires and stuff and everything." I'm like, "He's like, this is. I wish everybody did like this."
Wow.
I'm like, "Oh, I thought I was getting yelled at." And then landed in Pittsburgh, and that's when I started getting looks with it. Everybody in Anchorage was like, "Oh, that's so awesome." Everybody in Pittsburgh's like, "What the heck is this kid doing?" Yeah, that was pretty cool to bring those back home. And then that whole fall I took off to hunt. That was 2019 fall, I think, that was 2020 fall. That was when COVID was. I hunted that whole fall, and man, my memory's really bad. Just trying to remember some hunts that happened then.
Yeah,
I know
man.
I hunted New York.
That was that was a hell of a trip you had though, man. Like most people can't say that they got to spend that much time up in Alaska, let alone be in the bush like that. Now, when you went in the bush and, like I said, you marked your pins and it was 4 miles in, did you go in with somebody else or anything, or were you all alone, or?
No, I was all alone. Nobody else wanted to go.
Because they knew.
And it's just like that time of year, the bugs are so bad. That was like beginning of August or July. And the bugs are so bad. So I had to wear a bug net, like all long sleeves, so humid out. And swampy, nasty, and all I had was a 12 gauge with like 6 shells of slugs in it. And I remember just singing like the whole time. That's like if you're alone, they just say like make some noise, so the bear, like in case there's a bear, you'll spook it hopefully. Right. So I literally took, I don't know, I probably did like 12 or 13 miles to get in there, hike around, get back. I was singing the entire time. Like I lost my voice and everything.
Oh man,
it was worth it to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. You only live once out there, and you took full advantage of the situation. But boy, I do hate them bugs too. I get that. But
yeah, the bugs were so bad up there.
Well, you said you got to fly home. You fly into Pittsburgh. All the Yinzers are looking at you like, what? And the hill jack just flew in. And
all
really,
the Yinzers were looking at me.
Really, little do they know you're just a Central PA boy, and you owe me no harm. But so you come home, and then you said you think that you were able to go up to New York and do a little hunting.
Yeah, so that year, New York opened like 3 days before PA for archery, and just like went up there and winged it, and I got a doe the first day with my recurve.
Nice.
My buddy, that evening. No, it was the next day. He shot a doe with his recurve. That was his first with a recurve bow, doe. And I think we got like eight deer out of our group in New York that year.
Dang.
I know I got a doe and a buck. I think we just laid the does out pretty good through archery and rifle.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. And PA, I think I passed a lot of bucks up in archery. Ended up getting a 9-point that year.
And you shot that with a recurve too, or a rifle, or?
A rifle. Yep. I think I was like super crazy snow blizzard and rifle season, and I just went out and just tried to do some tracking, but the snow was just like coming down the whole time. So like any track that I did find was so snowed in, even it was like half hour old.
Right.
But I ended up just like walking down this hill, and it's like, oh, there's a buck. Oh, there's another buck. There's a doe. And they were just bedding and feeding, and got kind of just had the time to process it all and take it all in and wait for the right moment to shoot. And it was a nice 9-point.
Yeah. Boy, you can't ask for it to come together better than that. But
yeah, I mean, it was beautiful. That was like 2 miles in, and I was the only person out hunting that day. Like the roads were terrible, but it was just really cool to get one in snow like that, and really, really, really special, honestly. And then what else happened? I don't even remember. And then the next spring, which would have been 2021 or 22. I have no clue. But I got a job with Idaho Fish and Game.
Nice.
And drove out there, and that was doing fishery stuff, mostly working with king salmon and steelhead, and then like cutthroat bull trout stuff as well. But mostly just like focused on running. They're called a rotary screw trap. So it's like on 2 big floating pontoons, and there's like this big cone that spins. The cone, like the big end of the cone, faces upstream, and the small end goes to a live well at the back of the trap on the downstream side. Okay. So the goal of it is to catch out migrating king salmon and steelhead smolts as they're born upstream, and now they're making their way to the ocean. Mm-hmm. So our goal is to just trap them, get lengths and weights, and put a pit tag in them, which is just like a little tracking device. It's not like a radio collar deer, like you don't know exactly where it is at all times. It's like smaller than a tic tac, and you put that like into its side. So it's just kind of sitting there like with its guts, kind of just like right under the skin, but kind of just sitting in there. It doesn't hurt them. And then along the river that we were on, and then the next river, and the next river, and then all the dams I got to go through. There's like, it's called an array. So that's like, basically to simplify, it's like two. Well, there's like just one mechanism that's hooked up to like car batteries. So like there's a power bank and like a whole computer system, and then like there's wires that run under the stream bed. So any fish that travels over it, it's going to pick it up that tag passed by, and it's going to put it in the computer. And that's like all hooked up to the internet too. So it like sends a signal like, oh, fish X1 passed at this time. And if you tagged it upstream, you know that it's heading downstream. If the array is downstream of where you tagged it. So it's like stuff like that. It's really cool to see like fish that have just like kind of follow their journey out. You can like look at that and see like each where it get what time and when like it gets pinged at each location. And then the adult fish that come back, the tag is still in them, so you can see them coming back up. So super cool. It's just a way they monitor survivability and everything of the fish, which is like honestly just crazy, phenomenal that there's even king salmon left. Because I was in like eastern Idaho, so that's like almost Montana,
Right.
and these fish are running. They're born there. They run out, and they have to go. I think it's 7 or 8 dams they got to go through, but they're going through all of Idaho and all of Washington and Oregon to the Pacific, and then like everything's out to get them. You got seagulls and otters and eagles, sea lions, and then commercial fisheries out there in the ocean. And then the dams are really bad too. Like those smolts when they're out migrating, I think it's a 10% survival rate at each dam.
At each dam, damn.
Yeah,
That's,
so like if you start with 1,000 fish, there's going to be 100 at the first dam, and then there's going to be 10 at the second dam.
oh my.
So it's like super bad. Sucks what those fish have to go through. But somehow there's a few hundred adults that do make it back. They spend like 3-4 years in the ocean. They come back. It's pretty crazy that they can even do that, and they haven't been extirpated from that area. But
Yeah. Wildlife finds a way, man. All wildlife is so tough. I always think back, I can remember this time, and not to get off subject, but I think it's a good comparison, just how tough wildlife can be, whether it's fish or mammals or reptiles or whatever. But I remember shooting a squirrel, and I shot it with a shotgun, and I'm telling you that the thing was like clenched to the tree, right? It didn't fall. It just was like sitting there. And I'm thinking, I'm just a kid, and I'm gonna shoot it again, I guess. I don't know. So I go to load another bullet, and I get a little bit closer, and it takes off running up the tree, right? I'm like, what the hell? I was point blank. And it finally ended up actually peeking its head back out, and it come out just far enough for me to lay another one into it, and went up to it, and sure as heck, I mean, I peppered the heck out of it. I don't know how it was still living, but
yeah,
it's just one of them things, man. When these animals have a will to live, they find a way, whether it's whatever kind of animal. They're sure as heck not like human beings, I can tell you that.
right. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but yeah, man, that's great that you got to go out there, just kind of put it all in a nutshell for you in case you needed to ever step back and take a look. But you got to spend time in some of the wildest places that the United States has to offer.
Yeah, yeah. I've been very fortunate. It's been really cool to do it. I'm always looking back at my pictures on my phone, like, geez, that was pretty cool. I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
And
that'll get to live with you forever, man.
yeah, yeah. Idaho was cool. Idaho's been my favorite place, other than PA, and very beautiful. Tons of public ground, just like endless, like unbelievable how much there is out there to roam in.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and so I worked for Fish and Game and ran those traps, and then we would do like some electro fishing as well throughout the summer. A little bit of snorkeling, like looking for king salmon, smolts, and just kind of doing little fish population estimates, I guess, as just by snorkeling in like little mountain streams.
that's cool.
Um, and then the hunting was phenomenal. So right, like I think as soon as I got the call that I got the job, which would have been like January or so time frame, I immediately logged online and bought a deer tag, and I like had no clue like how far away it was. I just grabbed one, and I get there and I'm like, oh, I wonder where my deer tag is. And I'm like, that is 4.5 hours away
Wow.
one way. And I'm like, well, gotta do it.
Right.
And I was like, I have it. I'm gonna go and scout and stuff. So like I spent all spring like scouting, shed hunting, and making like basically 9-hour round trips to do this like almost every weekend, which is just unbelievable, kind of stupid, but I loved it. And yeah, wasn't finding much for deer, honestly. It was just super like dense forest. There's no clear cuts. There's no burns.
Mm-hmm.
Just it was like Pacific Northwest basically type of forest. Just a lot of rainfall and just very dense evergreen forest. And I was like, I got to hang some cameras and stuff just to like see what the heck is here. And got some nice whitetails, but like I had everything under the sun: bobcats, mountain lions, wolves, moose,
That's
elk,
freaking wild.
turkeys. It was in whitetails, mule deer. It was crazy. Um, uh, and then like when I was up there, just like scouting for whitetails, ended up like finding a bunch of turkeys. And so then I was like, shoot, I need a turkey tag now. And was doing that every weekend for turkeys then, which was crazy. I'd walk out, I'd step out of my car and I'd hear like 12 gobbles, like no matter where I was in the morning. Just crazy turkey density. And had a lot of fun chasing turkeys there. I think I ended up getting 2 birds. I got my friend a bird. And I took my recurve a lot, like, but I got my first bird. I missed 2 gobblers, and then I did end up getting one with a shotgun. And then I was like, I got to get one with a recurve. Like, there's just so many birds here. And went out for like 2 or 3 weeks with my bow, and I had a ton of them in shotgun range, but nothing with in range for my bow. And I'm getting my second one, but I think throughout that whole season, just hunting weekends, I had like 14 gobblers in shotgun range.
Damn.
It's just crazy. And then ended up snagging a different deer tag closer to where I lived. It was pretty much all mule deer. And
So
that was
the tag that you got, was it the second tag, was it mule deer or was it whitetail?
it was a general tag, so you can
Okay.
shoot either.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like one drainage in my whole unit that I found mule deer in for my first tag. But I don't think they like spend much time there after the summer. I think once fall hits and winter hits, like they just kind of migrate to somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's dominant whitetail there. But I didn't even get to hunt it just because I was more worried about getting a mule deer with my other tag.
I got you.
It was closer and everything. Had some really cool archery hunts, just camping out there by myself in the mountains. Just kind of backpack in on a weekend and try to get one with a bow. That was so much fun. Very challenging. I was in a very, very low deer density area.
Yeah.
So it's like, since I worked for Fish and Game, I kind of got to talk to some biologists and stuff. And I was like, what is up with this area? Like, what is up with my unit? They're like, oh, you have the lowest deer density unit out of anything anywhere near here. I'm like, okay, so I'm not like that bad at hunting. There's just like no deer. But saw some deer, got into some deer here and there. Never got to shoot, but I passed a few like small bucks up with the bow, and then the gun season hit, and I ended up getting a pretty nice mule deer. I mean, for my first one, I mean, I don't know, I think it was pretty nice, and then that was just so cool. Like, now it's become like one of my favorite things to do, hunt mule deer.
Now,
that was just,
I know that
so,
you got to eat that mule deer. What do you think? How does it compare to your whitetail?
the first mule deer I got, so that one I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it tasted exactly like whitetail.
Okay.
So that was like a 4.5-year-old buck. He was like up in the high country. He wasn't eating any sage.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was pretty much just like the exact same as a whitetail, and from here. And then I ended up going back out with some buddies last fall, and I got a buck that was a little older. This buck, I just got his age back. He was 5.5, and he was in the same habitat stuff, like high country, just eating grass. But like, for some reason, his meat is like way better. Like, it's phenomenal.
Dang.
And everybody I've shared it with says the same thing. Like, It's definitely better than whitetail.
Something up a
This
bit.
this one I got this year,
Hmm.
which I was surprised he was an older buck too. Um, but yeah, it's just really good meat. But I've heard that once they get into that sagebrush, it can kind of taint the meat a little bit to
Hmm.
some people
Yeah.
liking. But I've never had one from the sage, so.
I never have either, but I think it can be very comparable. I have a friend that guides up in Maine, and he's all about getting whitetail meat from Pennsylvania. Their deer in Maine, they eat a lot of peat moss and such, and there's not much, good.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, there's not much. They'll eat whatever they can eat, the ferns or whatever, because they don't really have the feed that we offer. Plus, you got to think what PA, how many people are shooting farm deer and eating farm deer? They're soybean eating, corn eating, whatever. They definitely taste better according to him. I can't say that I've ever shot a deer in Maine and brought it home, but I have had um, deer from Maine. I haven't had the luxury of shooting one up there myself, but moose, yes, yes, but I wouldn't say that the moose is bad. I think the moose tastes great, especially when it's ground up into burgers and such. But
Yeah, nice.
um,
Yeah, I've had moose. Yeah, I've had it like in a stew, but that's not like anything tastes good in a stew, I
right, right,
guess.
yeah,
You can't really
definitely,
tell.
definitely. Yeah, man, that is definitely one thing I like to touch on and talk about is eating the game, because I think as outdoorsmen, and I can attest to you, you're probably the same. That's like one of the best parts, after everything's done and you get it all cleaned up and then you get to cook it into something. It's like, man, I can't wait to eat this. But um, living out there though, so you got to hunt the mule deer, you got to hunt some whitetail. I mean, are you still a whitetail guy, or are you on the edge here?
Oh no, I mean I do love hunting mule deer out there, but
Hmm.
it's hunting whitetail, here or wherever, New York, Ohio, like I just love it so much. I mean, there's just a mystery to it.
Right.
You can like run every trail camera in the world and not really know what's there. And then like out west, like it's more open, you can glass. So like it's kind of like what you see is what you get.
Hmm.
Um, you can sit back and just glass like an entire mountain, so like basically what is everything that's on it. Where here it's like I don't know what's 40, 50 yards from me
Right. Yep.
hunting here. So I just love the mystery and just the way whitetails behave
Hmm.
and just how smart they are, like the density of hunters we have and how we can still get bucks that are well over 4 like years old and just get mature age, and it blows my mind.
Yep.
Uh, I feel like every time I check a trail camera, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like how does this exist here?
Yep.
Like for example, like one place I hunted a lot this year, um, I probably had like 15 bucks from August till rifle season that were on camera that I would have taken like really like nice bucks, and uh, the amount of those deer that survived just blew my mind. I hunted there a lot in rifle season, and that like valley and area, those hillsides got pushed off 8 times the first week, and every single drive there was shots. Not by me, but like other gangs and stuff. I was just like solo hunting and stuff. So I'm like, yep, there's another one. There's one of the bucks dead. Nope, I'd say majority of them made it, which is just mind blowing. that we. So that's why I love whitetails. They're just so sharp and cunning and smart. So
Yeah, and
that's what
I
I love.
agree with you 100%, and that's why I am the same. And actually, I have a couple friends that they're more mastery level when it comes to some other things like some predator control. They're really into that. Upland bird. And to each is their own. But two of them all always tell me, "Oh, you're just whitetail snobby. You don't. That's all you want to do." And it's not all I want to do. It's just what I really really enjoy. But um,
Right.
so I have a couple questions here for you, and You being a PA guy, I think you'll appreciate some of this stuff. But so you lived in PA for, enough years to kind of come to a tradition or something that you may have. Is there any traditions that you have as far as hunting PA or fishing PA, or any traditions maybe you'd like to start for you, your friends, or your family?
Um, so we have a hunting camp in PA here. We always go out there. I grew up going to like another family friend's camp. That was always just awesome. Going out there we'd go out for fall turkey. We'd go out for deer rifle, obviously. It's definitely just ingrained in me as a I'm drawing a blank.
And just ingrained in you as a
A
hunter.
ritual,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Right.
a ritual. I guess it's something we do every year. Um, just going to camp. And I've worked out all my jobs I've had. I run into people that aren't from Pennsylvania, but they still hunt, and I tell them like I have a hunting camp, and they're like, "What?" And I like PA, New York, Michigan,
Mhm.
Wisconsin, and then probably like some more like in New England stuff. Like
Mhm.
we have hunting camps where
Right.
it's
Right.
a physical building in the woods, not just like like a tent. It's a physical place that you go to. We call it camp,
Yep.
and I that's that was kind of like a culture shock to like people don't know about this.
Yeah.
Like it's the best place ever. Um, yeah, so that's something we do every year, and then I always try to go out like first day of trout with my good friends.
Mhm.
And again, we're staying at camp, and we'll go fish first day of trout together. And then something we started, I think, 3 or 4 years ago was doing just like a late season hunt with me and my college buddies and some of my friends from high school.
Nice.
And that's at camp too. So yeah, we've been doing that for
Is
4 years
that
now.
flintlock then, or
Yeah, doing
okay?
flintlock.
I
Yeah,
got
we
you.
just get together, do some drives, have some fun, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was a blast this year. We had a lot of new faces, a lot of new friends came out, and yeah, it was a really good time. It's just been it gets more and more fun every year. I hope we're gonna do it every single year. Like it's
Mhm.
all of those things: trout season, deer season, flintlock.
Yeah.
That's just definitely happening every year.
Well, brother, you guys are doing a great thing because number one, even at your age, I'm sure you can see like the numbers are dwindling, and the hunting community, I think it's still pretty tight knit. I think it needs to be a little bit tighter because now you have guys coming after, hey, that guy uses a crossbow, or this guy uses a compound, or that guy uses a spin rod, and this guy doesn't use a fly rod, and all that stuff. And I think we need to bring it back, and we don't need this competitive nature as far as it comes to you use this and you use that. To each is their own because we're as long as it's within legal means and you're doing everything the proper way. I think that everything's fine and dandy. But the problem is there's not a lot of youth getting involved in any way anymore. And I know a guy like you. You have a pretty good voice as far as it comes to outdoor stuff, and some people and stuff. But guys like me or you, we have to make sure that continues. That fishing camp, that you guys getting together and doing in flintlock season and having that, because I'm part of that too, and I know exactly what you're saying. We do the drives and stuff late season, and we do the trout opener together, and then we do camp like 2 or 3 weeks in the trout season and all that stuff. And that stuff is just like I can't wait all year for that kind of stuff. But I don't think enough people are exposed to that either to know what they're really missing out on, if you get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's I know that pretty much like after my age class of people,
Yep.
I was born in like 97, I'm 25. It's like after me, it's like pretty dead.
Yep.
Uh,
I think you hit it right on the head too. I was just going to say that probably right around your age is where I kind of see the drop off right after like the people that I know are around 24, 25, but just a little bit younger than that. It kind of seems like they kind of look at you sideways when you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm taking 2 weeks off and going to Ohio and then into Indiana for hunting deer," and they're looking at you like, "Excuse me?"
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely like just seriously just drops right off after my age group of people.
Mhm.
I do have some friends that are like 2 or 3 years younger than me that are all gung ho like
Yeah,
myself, and
for sure.
but like the general majority
Hmm.
is nowhere. That's just like one or two people I know of that are younger than me doing it, and it's pretty dead after that.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta definitely try to keep them into it. And then, like I said, I mean, I bet you I talk about it on every episode of this show. But not to beat a dead horse, but hey, let's get together here. Let's get this Sunday hunting kicking. Let's get these. Even if we just got small game, hey, let's just bring back small game because I feel like that's a dying thing. We all want to hunt whitetails, and small game is out there, and a lot of guys kind of forget that. Either that or they wait till second season. But whatever. Um, but you were talking about deer drives, and that is something I wanted to bring up to you. So you're pretty well traveled, and in your travels, when you talk about deer drives, that people kind of look at you sideways or anything like that.
Uh, yeah, I know it's definitely illegal, like in Idaho. I don't
Okay.
think it's legal to even do it.
Hmm.
I've probably thrown it around in conversation with friends,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they know what it is, but they've never done it. And
Right.
um, but yeah, it's a huge thing in Pennsylvania is doing deer drives.
Right. Yeah. Deer drives, bear drives. You know.
Yeah, especially bear.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely part of the heritage. I mean, I know. Boy, I probably couldn't tell you how many deer I've shot on deer drives. To be honest with you. Um, I've shot a lot of nice bucks on deer drives, and I've shot a lot of does too. But anyway, um, yeah, I just wanted to try to get that in there. Talking about making sure that we're trying to pass on traditions, and I know, like even at your age, I mean, like it sucks to even say it, but like you guys are like kind of the last of the dying breed, and I only have a couple years on you. I'm only 32, but I can see it dwindling, and it sucks. But you lived here also long enough that I kind of want to know, is there anything you'd like to see change in PA? I mean, I know we talked about the Sunday hunting, so let's skip over that. But um, is there anything else you'd like to see change? Maybe not even laws. I don't know. Anything on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, um, that I would be like, I'm trying to think. Uh, Definitely some laws I'd like to see. Like, I'm not big with deer drives.
Uh huh.
I think like I've been caught in the middle of deer drives.
I got you.
Like if I'm solo hunting
Mm-hmm.
and like a whole group surrounds me and pushes deer, and there's you know,
Yep.
um,
It can be
it's
dangerous.
like it's definitely so it's like I'd love to see some sort of regulation
Mm-hmm.
put in, like maybe like make it like only a few days or
Yep.
just something, and I think that is what really wipes out like a lot of our bucks, like even mostly deer in general. It wipes a lot of them out.
Oh, for sure.
um and it's just like it kind of sucks, like, oh, it's and my personal opinion, like I don't care what people do. It's just like keeping the animal in mind. That's how I look at things, like
Mm-hmm.
fair chase.
Mm-hmm.
um Not that a drive's not fair chase. It's just like I'm me personally. I'm out there just like hunting one deer specifically,
I
and
got you.
or a buck, and it's like, oh, you just got killed in a deer drive
Yeah.
by people that aren't even from here, or like they have no clue he's even there, and they just got lucky. Um, so, but I would just like to see some sort of regulation, because I think that would help our deer, like just get another age class. Just start seeing some bigger deer too. But I don't know. Like the deer are definitely adapted to deer drives.
Oh, yeah.
Like we'll do them for flintlock, and it's like crazy how many go backwards or sideways, and
Yep.
nobody even sees them. It's like they've dealt with it for their whole lives, and so have their parents and their parents talking about deer.
Yeah.
So they're adapted to avoiding it. And we'll always have big bucks here, no matter what, for sure.
Mm-hmm. As long as we keep
Uh,
the antler restrictions, yeah.
yep, and yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on drives. I just like, maybe like a size limit on it, because I just like hate being caught in the middle of them.
Well, yeah, it's scary, especially when you know some of the fuds that are out there with rifles. I get it.
Yeah, it's definitely scary. And then um definitely cell cams. I just passionately hate cell cams with a burning passion. Yeah,
I can see where you're coming from. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I have two of them, but I will tell you, like, I know the way that some guys are able to use them. Like, oh, I just seen this deer at 7 o'clock, this morning. I'm gonna move my stand, or I'm gonna move, my saddle set up to here and try to cut the deer off. Like, I know what they're doing. I mean, that's not something I know that I really have an option for where I live at, just because I don't have the cell phone service where I'm hunting for the most part to
right.
even
Yeah, I
do
mean
something
that's
like that. But
I think at first they were like, oh, I just don't have time to check this camera all the time.
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna run a cell camera.
Yeah,
But now it's turned into like, oh, that buck's here right now. I'm gonna go cut him off,
right. Yep.
and running like a bunch of cell cams in one spot. Like it's just how I and kind of to relate it to something like the game commission does the elk camera
Mm-hmm.
online. It's live footage. Well, they take it down for elk season
Right.
because that is illegal to use live surveillance
Right.
of wildlife. And I don't see how that's any different than getting a picture instantly.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's fair chase.
Well, I'll be honest.
Personally,
I think that you are going to see a movement on this because I'm actually kind of surprised the push that is behind that. There's a, at first people, like you said, like I think everybody was all right with it. It was like, hey, cell cams, like I can throw this up on my lease. I can, you know what I mean? Use it for the one that I usually leave soaking or whatever down in the abyss or whatever they call, their furthest spot. And it was cool and fine and dandy. And like you said, I think that some people are starting to realize what you're actually able to do with something like that. And I think the other problem that comes from it is, I mean, I know that you are starting to hone your woodsmanship skills very well. You are already a good woodsman, but the things that you've seen and been through, I would categorize you as one of the better woodsmen that I know, just because of the time that you've spent in the woods. But when you don't have to do that stuff, you lose that skill.
right? Yeah. Thank you,
And
though. I
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah, no, you earned it. You don't need a thanks. That's something that you really have to earn. And I feel like as many books as I want to read, or as many people as you want to talk to, or like we were talking before, as many podcasts as you want to listen to. Yes, that information's out there, but when it comes to woodsmanship, I don't think it's something that you can learn in a book. You need to see that stuff, and that's why it's so cool. Like when you have guys that are willing to mentor you, or take you out and spend time with you. Um, like I know guys like Dan Enfelt, like the bigger names, or like Hellblood, like them guys. They have like classes, and you can go and like they'll show you their woodsmanship, and that's a dying thing.
Yeah, I do a lot of thinking when I'm out shed hunting and stuff, and
Mhm.
I've never really got to talk about the whole cell cam thing, and like I've always like never had a I have my own like platform, but I really just keep to myself a lot,
Mhm. I
um
understand.
and stuff. But that's kind of like my first time talking about it. Um, yeah, it's like you said, woodsmanship. I think it's like dead.
Yeah.
It's nobody's out there. Nobody wants it to work for it. Everybody wants their handheld. They want instant satisfaction.
Right.
And it's lazy. And I don't want to bash like other hunters because like that. I don't want to be our own worst enemy.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to like tear each other down.
Mhm.
Because that's not what I'm trying to do. It's really upsetting to see how lazy people are, and just like how it all like, nobody's out there putting work in. Like I get trail camera cards stolen like every day,
Yeah, it's
it
wild.
seems, and it's just like people just feed off you. Like they don't put any work in, and they just take from you. Like
Yeah.
it sucks so bad. Like I'm the one working hard, and you take it all from me. And it's like cell cameras. Like that's I think it's very lazy, and not sporting to the wildlife. Um, it's just it takes the guess a little like a lot of like hunting is guessing. Like
Mhm.
you're putting the best educated guess you have out to get an animal.
Yeah.
But when you are instantly told where that animal is, that is taking so much of the guessing out. Um, it's sad. I feel bad for the animals, honestly. But I don't know. Like there's a lot of people against it, like myself, and I don't know if it'll ever change. Like there's just so many people with cell cameras, and so you got to think of like everything that has a foothold in that would be like the cell phone companies, the battery companies,
True. True.
So it's like
Yep.
they have a bigger wait Verizon, AT&T, they have way bigger voice than me. Um, they probably have some sort of in with the PA game commission. You never know. Like, hey, don't ban these because that's a lot of revenue, or
Yeah.
something like that. It's
For
like
sure.
another dimension to think about. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, but I mean, there's just something to say for going in the woods with people that know what they're doing. Like I've been blessed to be around some people that are just, I've learned my skills over the years, and I'm still, constantly learning stuff. But just when you'd be walking through some choppings or something of like a 4 or 5 year old clear cut, and you know they turn around and say, "You see these little, clip marks or these little, indentations on these trees? There's definitely a large buck moving through here, and this is his antlers touching these trees." And you're just like, "What? Wow! How do you even think of that? Like, what made you even think of that?" And it's obvious, but unless you're like told or shown stuff like that, you don't you don't know what the hell's making them marks or that they're even there. And
Right.
it's just like, and that's just an example. There's so many things that I've seen people do over the years, and that's why
Yeah.
I'll usually give it to, backwoods hunters, because they're pretty impressive, and they really work hard. And I'll give it to anybody who's packing deer out. I don't care how big the deer is, whether it's or even dragging them out. Some guys still prefer to drag them out, and that's fine too, as long as you have the help to do it usually.
Right. Yeah.
But
It's just it's just it's tough to see people who don't want to put the work in, and it's not everybody, obviously.
yeah, no
It's
doubt.
not 100% of the hunting people out there. So, but it's definitely a majority, and it's sad to see that. Honestly, that people are super lazy and just want satisfaction, instantly. So,
Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm glad that we got to touch on the trail camera subject, because that is something I think I've talked to in a couple episodes for other people, not so much the cell cam thing, but just whether or not sometimes it's even worth having a cell or a camera at all. I know.
yeah, I mean, I run 50-60 cameras.
Damn, damn.
So, and if they made them ban tomorrow, I would go pull them all and
Mhm.
not even feel one thing.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I just really do it, just see what's out there, kind of give
Inventory.
myself like a little motivation,
Mhm.
really. But I'm not using them to really make my decisions. They do help, obviously. They aid myself to make decisions and see like, oh, this deer's here at this time. He's going this way, that way.
For sure.
But it's not instant. It's probably 5 or 6 days ago.
Right. Right.
I'm running so many cameras. I try to keep up with what I can, but it's just not even possible. So
Yeah.
it's more just like a motivation, like, oh, this is here, so I'm gonna just then I gotta look into more detail. Like
Right.
I know a fraction of his life 6 days ago. So it's now I gotta focus on sign
It's all puzzle.
and try to exactly. It's a huge puzzle.
Mhm.
It's not instantly like this deer's heading into his bed right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, and you in particular, you're a traditional guy, so I mean, you got it even harder, man. I'm not a traditional bow shooter, but I don't want to devote the time to it either. So, I want to, but I know what time I need to devote to it, and I just don't. I'm all about ethics, and I know how good I am with my compound, and I know how much I need to shoot it. When it comes to going traditional route, like you need to be shooting early and often.
right. Yeah,
So,
there's nothing wrong with your decision.
right, right,
That's
right.
great. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely, man. But um on that subject, let's talk about. Give me a story, man. Give me something that sticks with you. Like, man, this sucked. Like it was a hunting thing. Maybe you forgot something. Maybe you hit a deer and didn't get it. Maybe somebody messed up your hunt. Like, give me something that comes to mind right away. Like, oh man, this one time.
Oh, that's a good one. Let me think. There's like literally dozens and dozens of these.
I know, man. I have a lot
Uh,
too, but I have like a couple that I instantly am like, okay, yeah, that sucked.
yeah. Let me.
I'll
Oh
tell you
man.
what. Let's revisit that.
Yeah.
Let's revisit that thought. But yeah, I knew I was going to catch you off guard a little bit, but my buddy asked me that question one time, and I was kind of taken back. But I'll ask you this one. So, of all your friends and stuff, and I'm sure they're going to listen to this or get to it at some point. So, give me three guys. You can pick anybody you want. I don't care who they are or women. Whatever. Give me three people that you want to come hunting with you tomorrow. I'm gonna handpick these people. They can come with me, or fishing, hunting or fishing, something outdoors,
Oh,
maybe even hiking.
like any people of all time, or
Any,
like.
yeah, man, any. You're allowed to pick anybody you want. I don't even care if they're a hunter. You give me three people you think of. You idolize them. You want to be around them. Maybe they mentored you. Whatever it is, three people.
Okay. I would love to hunt with Zach Farrenbaugh
Nice.
of the hunting public. It's just good vibes. Dude's a good time and knows what he's doing.
I think
Um,
I think that I think you can arrange that at some point, but
yeah. Same with
keep.
Fred Eichler too.
Okay.
Fred Eichler might also be on the list.
Cool. Cool.
Um, I'd rather hunt with my own friends like any day than those guys. I just
Hmm.
um
Yeah, but
like
they just come to mind. I got you.
yeah. So like, we're just doing like a fantasy type thing. Yeah. Who else would be in there? Oh, I don't really, I don't even really know. Um, I've always wanted to like just take like a famous like baseball player, somebody fishing.
Yeah, that would be cool, man. That would
Like
be really cool.
I've messaged like Manny Ramirez from the Boston Red Sox,
Yeah,
Jorge Posada from the
that's
Yankees.
pretty cool.
I just like message him like, hey, do you want to fish? No one's ever replied, but I'm trying. Um, so I always thought that would be pretty cool to just like
Well,
take one of them
the
fishing.
squeaky wheel gets the grease, man.
What's
I
that?
said the squeaky wheel gets the grease, so you got to keep
Hey,
trying.
you gotta try to get it.
Yep, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Um, yeah, I like asking that question because most guys, I know I can pick mine and I'll say it someday, but uh, it's something that comes with the hunting community. What I mean by that is like you have guys that will think or pick of like people that they know of that they want to learn from, or like you have people that they want to be around, or you have people that pick just like brothers and sisters and moms and dads and grandpas and grandmas and all that, just because they want to be around the people, or maybe they even just miss them. And I feel like, there's no way to get closer than within the hunting and fishing community, to be honest.
Right.
So, but do you have a good story for us? Did you forget something? Did you hit a deer, not get it? Did somebody mess you up?
Just like a bad thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I I feel like people like mess me up like once a week, where it's like, oh, this sucks. Um, or like someone walking through, but like it's what you deal with. It doesn't like bother me, but um, I remember kind of like a really vivid hunt to me.
Hmm.
Um, I can still picture it like perfectly. It was the last day of archery. I was 12 years old, and it was my first year ever hunting with a bow. I was using a longbow, and uh, first thing in the morning, I was using a climber. My dad was also with me. He climbed a tree next to the creek, and I was kind of like 40, 50 yards from him. and he's been doing it forever. So shoots up the tree. He's all set up quick.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take my time. This is my first year hunting out a climber. And so he gets to the tree. I'm making noise, like rubbing the bark, and some things are rattling. And hear my phone like I feel my phone vibrating, it's ringing. And I answer, it's my dad. He's like, "There's a spike under me." He's like, "It's a huge spike." And he's like, "Get ready," because he couldn't shoot it, but I could because I was still a youth hunter.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I like get super like I got set up like super quick, and bring my bow up, and I watched that buck. It was standing right under his tree. I watched it run away. And I'm like, "Ah, dang." And now I think I'm like super sweaty. Like by now, like I'm just like been working so hard to get up this tree like 10 feet. like, and I hear just like the something. Like I let a few grunts out, and I hear like something behind me. I look back and it's this huge 7 point, just massive buck, and he is plowing through the mountain laurel, coming right for me. Like his neck's all puffed up, and that's why that spike ran off. And he's coming right for me. And this is a very, very nice buck, and he comes right in to 10 yards. And here I am, 12 years old, that I just grunted this massive buck in, and the last day of archery, and I don't even think I even drew my bow back. It was like the arrow hit him like in the neck, and it only went in a few inches,
Mm-hmm.
and has just big beefy neck on him, and I didn't even hurt the thing. He ran off, and there was like a speck of blood. He was completely fine. I got pictures of him after that, like on show cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I was kicking myself there. I was just so, it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. I felt terrible, like that I wounded him, but he was completely fine and everything.
Yeah.
That was definitely a sucky moment, but but just like wow, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Almost
Yeah.
like that was to do that. And now I hunt like every day, and I can't even do that. I can't even get a buck like that to kill. You know.
Yeah, man. And that's one thing, why I ask that question and try to keep that question up my sleeve, because when we think back to stuff like that, you think of the lasting impression that that had on you, and there's a lot to it. Just I can tell you just from the story you just told me. So you wounded the deer, so you got that feeling right away. And you still
Yeah.
think back to that feeling, because I can tell you, I can literally vividly tell you every single deer that I wounded and did not get. I, I mean, I could probably tell you those stories more vividly than I can tell you the deer that I killed.
Right.
And, there's just something to say for that, and it makes you a better hunter, because in that moment you're only 12 years old, but you kind of learn right away. You're like, oh my God, like I need to make ethical shots, right?
Right.
So you
Yeah. I
learn.
mean, it's a lesson that needed to be had.
Yeah,
I'm glad I got it early.
for sure, man. I know. I mean, it's going to happen to them at some point, but I know one or two guys that will tell me, oh, well, I don't wound them. I don't miss them. I aim small, I miss small. And I just look at them and I say, look, I'm just telling you, like, it's going to happen. And it's going to be, maybe it won't even be your fault, but, that little twig that you don't see in twilight or something like that, like, it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. And it's a terrible feeling. A super terrible feeling. But, you learn so much about that moment, just how hard you were going to work to use climber, and, getting up a tree, and how quick things can happen. And that's a great story, man. I love it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Um, but Dan, I don't want to keep you too long, man. What I'd like to do is I want to catch up with you like later after hunting season here, or later after your guide season, because I know you're probably going to get busy here. Um,
Yep. Getting busy here within a few weeks, and then all through all till mid-September. I'm
yeah.
busy
Damn, man.
guiding.
That's
So yeah, just
awesome.
doing PA till June, and then Alaska July to September. So
Well, before we let you go, like one thing I want you to do is really promote yourself and promote the business while you're on here. Where can people get a hold of you? Um, just, how they can get a hold of you, and what you kind of offer for them.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I own my own guide service here in PA, just a little small business, just myself. Um, it's I love fly fishing, and anymore, my number one passion is showing people uh, what I know and my love for it, and showing what PA has to offer. Just we're very blessed with beautiful fisheries, a lot of water. That's why I got into it, just to show people what I love and seeing their spark, and it's really really cool and really special. So anybody that does want to come out on a guided trip here in PA, whatever you want to do, trout, smallmouth, anything. I have a raft where I do walkway trips. Get a hold of me at 814-592-6951. Call or text. You can get a hold of me. We'll get a trip booked up, or you can shoot me an email at collinsdc@hotmail.com, or shoot me a message on any Facebook or Instagram. It's just Hardway Outdoors on those. Yeah, I love taking people fishing, and looking for another great season. I'm super stoked for it. Getting busy here. A lot of trips, and the fishing's getting good because we've had a pretty warm winter, so the fishing's been freaking awesome lately.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm glad that you are, willing to take people fishing. I'm glad that you're willing to, um, step up and be a guide because, like we were talking about before, it kind of takes a different person. Just takes, it does take a toll after a while, and I'm glad that you are the way you are, and you can teach. Not everybody can do that, and we're lucky to have you here in PA, and we're lucky to have you out there promoting the outdoors, man. I really appreciate you coming through on the show, and I look forward to following along your journey and catching up with you.
I appreciate it, Marcus. Yeah, it's pretty cool to be on here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, man, no doubt, no doubt. We will have you back, man, and until then, I guess tight lines and good blood trails.
Yes, sir. I like that. I like that.
All right, man. We'll see you soon.
All right, take care.
That wraps it up for another episode of the Keystone Chronicles podcast. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know I did. I really like following Dan's journey, and I think you should too. Head over to Hardway Outdoors on Instagram or Dan Collins and give him a follow. Also, guys, go over to YouTube and check out his content. It's very good. I highly recommend it. And while you're over there on YouTube, the YouTube channel is up for the Keystone Chronicles podcast. Get over there, check out my ugly mug, give me a like, dislike, comments, hurt my feelings. I don't care. Go check it out. And I'll try to bring you more content on there. And also, I want to thank everybody for reaching out. The support lately has been outrageous. I really wasn't prepared for it. People, hey, this is really good. People, hey, try to do this different. I don't care. I like it all. And I'm just trying to bring you guys some good content. So I really hope you guys enjoy that. As always, please, at anything you listen to this on, any platforms, subscribe, like, comment, share, all social media platforms. It helps out the show greatly. I greatly appreciate you guys returning to listen to more episodes from the Keystone Chronicles podcast. We'll see you soon.